The message was clear: stay away from Earth, but they laughed at it. Far beyond the outer edges of the galaxy, there was a powerful empire known for conquering worlds without effort. They had seen thousands of planets fall before them, and none had ever stopped them. One day, their deep space scanners found something new: a small blue planet orbiting a quiet star. Earth. At first, it did not look special. No massive fleets, no visible defenses, no strong signals. Just a simple world with life. The High Council gathered to study it. They saw humans divided, weak, and far behind in technology. To them, this was easy. Another world to take, another victory to add to their endless list. But before they could move forward, something unexpected happened. A signal reached them. It did not come from ships. It did not come from satellites. It came from the planet itself. Simple, clear, and cold. Stay away from Earth. The room fell silent for a moment. Then laughter filled the chamber. The leaders smiled as if they had just heard a joke. A warning from such a weak world meant nothing to them. One commander, however, did not laugh. His name was Varun. He had fought in many wars and had seen things others ignored. He looked at the message again. There was something strange about it. No fear, no panic, no emotion. Just a warning. Calm and absolute. He stepped forward and spoke carefully. This is not normal. The others turned to him. He explained that most worlds begged for mercy or tried to hide. But this one did neither. It warned them. And that meant only one thing: confidence. But the council did not listen. They had already made their decision. Prepare the fleet. Within hours, thousands of warships were ready. Dark shapes filled the space around their homeworld. Weapons charged, engines glowing with power. They had crushed stronger civilizations than this. Earth would be no different. Varun stood on the command deck of the lead ship, his eyes fixed on the distant star that held Earth. Something felt wrong. Too quiet. Too easy. He checked the signal again. Stay away from Earth. It repeated without change. No extra words, no threats, no fear. Just a line drawn in space. Behind him, the fleet began to move. One by one, the ships jumped into deep space, heading toward their target. There was no hesitation, no doubt, only ambition. But as the last ships disappeared into the void, the signal changed for the first time. Not louder, not stronger, just different. You were warned. Varun felt a chill run through him. For the first time in many years, he was not thinking about victory. He was thinking about what waited for them. And far away on that small blue planet, something was already watching, waiting, silent, and ready. The night was darker than usual. The wind whispered strange secrets through the empty streets, and the city seemed to hold its breath in the shadows of tall buildings. Ryan moved quietly, keeping to the alleys, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. He knew someone was following him, but every time he turned, there was only darkness. His instincts screamed danger, but curiosity pushed him forward. He reached an abandoned warehouse. The windows were broken, and the doors hung loosely on their hinges. Inside, the air smelled of dust and old metal. Something was waiting for him, something that had been watching him for days. The floor creaked beneath his feet, and every sound felt amplified, as if the building itself was alive. Ryan could hear a faint humming coming from the far corner, like a machine breathing slowly. As he stepped closer, he saw a strange glow. It was not from any normal light. It pulsed like a heartbeat, casting moving shadows on the walls. Ryan froze. He had never seen anything like it. The glow seemed to call to him, and yet warn him at the same time. He took a deep breath and reached out a hand, trembling slightly. The moment his fingers almost touched the light, a shadow shot across the room, and a whisper echoed. Ryan could not understand the words, but it made his skin crawl. He stumbled back, his heart racing, and suddenly the glow vanished, leaving only darkness. He heard footsteps, then laughter, low and hollow, coming from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Ryan tried to run, but the door slammed shut, trapping him inside. Panic rose inside him. He fumbled in the dark, searching for a way out, and then he saw a figure standing still in the center of the room, taller than any human and covered in strange markings. It did not move. Its eyes glowed faintly like fire in the darkness. Ryan could feel its gaze piercing into his mind, making his thoughts scatter and twist. The figure began to move slowly, and with each step the floor beneath Ryan seemed to shake. He backed against a wall, trying to disappear into the shadows. But the figure seemed to know his every move. It whispered again. This time the words felt like knives slicing through his mind, and he felt a memory, not his own, a memory of a world consumed by fire and machines, controlling everything. Ryan shook his head, trying to clear it, but the vision returned stronger and more vivid. Then the figure stopped and extended a hand toward him. Ryan felt a pull like gravity, drawing him closer. He wanted to resist, but his body would not obey. It was like the figure had taken control, and he was moving against his will. As he got closer, he noticed that inside the figure there was a swirling vortex of colors and shapes that made no sense to his mind. He wanted to look away, but he could not. The vortex seemed to whisper secrets about the future and about him, about a choice he would have to make that would decide not only his life, but the lives of many. A sudden crash behind him made him spin around. A crate had fallen, and a hidden door opened, revealing a staircase leading down. Ryan did not hesitate. He ran down the stairs, his legs moving faster than he thought possible. The echo of his footsteps was followed by the hollow laughter of the figure above, and he knew it was only a matter of time before it followed him into the depths below. The staircase led him to an underground tunnel, wet and cold. The walls were lined with strange symbols glowing faintly in the dark. He could feel a pulse coming from them, like a heartbeat counting down, something he did not understand but feared. Ryan had no choice. He had to keep moving, but every step felt like the tunnel itself was alive, trying to trap him. He could hear whispers behind him, like voices of people long gone, warning him to turn back. But something inside him refused. He had to find out the truth about the figure, about the glow, and about the vortex he had seen in its chest. The tunnel twisted and turned endlessly, and he felt lost, yet drawn to something at the end. Of faint light promising answers, or maybe destruction. He slowed for a moment, catching his breath, and realized the sound of water dripping echoed like a clock counting down. He realized that whatever waited at the end was not just powerful, but aware of him, aware of his fear and his desire to see it through. Ryan clenched his fists and pushed forward, knowing that nothing could prepare him for what he was about to face. The tunnel seemed endless. Ryan could feel his own heartbeat echoing in the narrow walls. Each step he took seemed heavier than the last. The faint light at the end flickered like it was alive and breathing. He could not tell if it was calling him or warning him to turn back. The air grew colder, and he could see his own breath forming clouds in front of him. Every shadow seemed to move and whisper secrets he could not understand. Suddenly the ground beneath him trembled, as if something massive was moving deep below the tunnel. Ryan stumbled, but caught himself. His mind screamed run, but curiosity chained him in place. He crept forward, each step measured, careful, every sound amplified, like the tunnel itself was listening and mocking him. Ahead the light grew brighter, and he could hear a low humming vibrating through the walls like the heartbeat of the earth itself. He felt drawn to it, yet dread curled like a snake in his stomach. He reached a vast underground chamber, the ceiling so high he could not see it, and walls covered in the same glowing symbols from the tunnel. They pulsed rhythmically like they were alive and aware. He could feel them watching him, weighing his thoughts and intentions. In the center of the chamber stood a massive structure. It looked like a machine fused with organic shapes, moving slowly, breathing as if alive. The glow came from its core, a swirling vortex of colors that seemed to stretch into infinity. Ryan approached cautiously. He could feel a pull stronger than anything he had ever experienced. It tugged at his mind, as if the vortex was reading him, thinking with him. And through the shadows around the chamber twisted and formed shapes, whispering things he could not understand, shapes of faces screaming and laughing all at once. And a voice spoke clearly this time. Ryan, this is your choice, your path, your fate. He could not see who spoke, but he felt it. Inside his mind, the figure from the warehouse, it was here too, and yet it was different, larger, more powerful, and more terrifying. As he stepped closer, the symbols on the walls shifted, forming patterns he had never seen before. His vision blurred. The vortex inside the structure reached out like tendrils of light, wrapping around his thoughts, pulling memories and fears from him. He saw glimpses of possible futures, cities, burning people, screaming machines, walking like gods, and himself standing alone with a choice he did not understand. He felt his knees weaken, but some part of him demanded he continue. he had to face it to know the truth. A sudden sound of metal scraping echoed behind him. He turned slowly and saw dozens of shadowy figures emerging from the darkness, tall, faceless shapes with glowing eyes. They moved silently, but their presence pressed on him like a physical weight. He tried to run, but the pull of the vortex was stronger, and it forced him forward. Every instinct screamed danger, yet every fiber of his being was mesmerized. He felt like he was walking on the edge of a knife between salvation and destruction. The vortex pulsed faster, and he could hear it whispering louder in a language he did not know, yet somehow understood. It told him secrets about the world, secrets about power, about fear, and about choice. And then it showed him a vision of the figure from the warehouse kneeling before him, as if he could control it, as if he could claim its power, and yet the cost was something he could not see, something terrible and irreversible. He stepped closer, and the chamber shuddered, as if it knew he was deciding. Ryan reached out, trembling, his fingers almost touching the vortex, and the shadows around him screamed in unison. The air burned with energy. He felt his mind splitting between desire and fear, between curiosity and survival. And then the vortex pulsed one final time like a heartbeat, and the chamber went silent. The shadows froze, and the glow dimmed, leaving only a faint light illuminating the structure. Ryan could feel that whatever he chose now would change everything forever, that the world above and below would never be the same again. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, ready to confront the choice, ready to face the unknown. The shadows seemed to retreat, and the vortex swirled faster, drawing him, and his heart raced, and a whisper in his mind said, "The path is yours now, choose wisely." The vortex pulsed like a living heart, its colors shifting faster than Ryan could comprehend. He felt himself being drawn closer. Every instinct screamed danger, but his legs moved on their own. The chamber seemed to stretch and warp around him, shadows crawling along the walls like living snakes, whispering warnings and promises. At the same time, he could feel the weight of countless unseen eyes pressing on his mind. He realized that the choice ahead was not just his, it was bigger than him, bigger than the world outside, bigger than anything he had ever imagined. A sudden crack echoed through the chamber. The shadows twisted violently, and the floor trembled. Ryan stumbled, but did not fall. He saw a crack form in the vortex, a dark fissure like an eye opening inside it. He could feel something staring back at him, a presence ancient and hungry. It pulsed with power so strong that his bones ached and his mind screamed. He wanted to turn, but the pull of the vortex was irresistible. It called to something deep inside him, something he had never known, a desire to see the truth, to confront the unknown, no matter the cost. The shadowy figures from before emerged again, but this time they moved faster and seemed to merge with the walls themselves, forming corridors of darkness leading to places he could not see. He could hear voices, overlapping whispers of past travelers trapped here forever. They cried and begged and laughed, and their words scraped his mind. The vortex pulsed faster, and he could feel time bending around him. Every second stretched and twisted into eternity. The chamber itself seemed alive, judging him, testing him. Ryan reached the edge of the vortex and felt a sudden surge of memories, not his own, images of battles and civilizations, falling visions of creatures that walked before humans and machines that ruled like gods. He felt a cold hand brush against his mind and realized the figure from the warehouse was there, not behind him, not in front of him, but inside him, guiding him, warning him, tempting him. Every step forward felt like walking through fire and ice at the same time. He could feel the cost of every choice pressing down on him like a mountain. Suddenly the vortex shivered, and a voice louder than anything he had heard, yet softer than a whisper, spoke directly into his mind. Choose or be consumed. Ryan felt the pull growing stronger. His hands reached out instinctively, his fingers almost touching the swirling chaos of colors and darkness. And for a moment, he saw the world outside reflected in its cities, crumbling oceans, boiling people screaming, and in the center of it all, a choice, a path that led to unimaginable power, and another that led to oblivion. He hesitated, and the chamber responded. The walls shivered, the shadows writhed, and the vortex pulsed violently, as if alive. It was testing him, measuring the depth of his fear and desire. He could feel the presence inside him, screaming, urging him to act now or be lost forever. He felt his own memories bending like paper inside his mind, mixing with the visions, the whispers, the screams, and the laughter. He realized he could not turn back. Even if he wanted to, the path was before him, and it demanded action. With a deep, trembling breath, Ryan stepped forward, his hand reaching into the heart of the vortex. The colors and shadows twisted around his fingers. The whispers and screams merged into a single voice, telling him everything he feared and everything he desired. The chamber shook violently, the shadows screamed, and the ancient presence stared at him from the darkness. And then, in a single instant, the vortex opened wider, like a doorway to eternity. Ryan felt his body pulled and his mind split and stretched, as if he were everywhere and nowhere at once. He could see the figure from the warehouse, kneeling, waiting for his choice, and he knew that after this moment, nothing would ever be the same again. He closed his eyes and stepped fully into the vortex. The chamber exploded with light and shadow. The whispers became a roar, and then silence. Ryan opened his eyes, and the world around him had changed. The chamber was gone, replaced by a vast expanse of swirling colors and shapes that made no sense. His feet did not touch any ground, and yet he could feel movement, like he was floating through something alive. The vortex had become a world unto itself. Every pulse of light and shadow felt like a heartbeat counting down to something he did not understand yet feared deeply. The figure from the warehouse stood before him, taller and more imposing than ever, its body a shifting form of darkness and light, its eyes burning with knowledge and hunger. Ryan could feel it reading his thoughts, seeing his fears and desires, and shaping them into visions of possible futures. He tried to speak, but no words came out. Only a soundless scream echoed inside his mind. The figure extended a hand, and suddenly Ryan understood he had choice: to take the power within the vortex or to resist it and leave, knowing the world outside would never be the same. As he hesitated, the swirling world around him began to change. The colors darkened, and twisted shadows formed like monsters reaching for him from every direction. The whispers returned, louder this time, overlapping his own thoughts, warning him, threatening him, and tempting him with promises of power and understanding. He could feel the pull growing stronger. His body wanted to obey it, his mind wanted to fight it, but something deep inside urged him to see the choice through to the end. Then the figure spoke directly into his mind. The path of power brings knowledge and destruction. The path of resistance brings safety and ignorance. But both demand sacrifice you cannot escape. Both demand a price. He realized that every instinct he had trusted until now was meaningless here in this place. Nothing was simple, nothing was safe. Every step forward changed him. Every thought had weight and consequence. Ryan felt a surge of memories, not his own, images of civilizations rising and falling, machines that ruled with fire and shadows that consumed light. He could feel the pain of countless souls trapped inside the vortex, their voices screaming their regrets, their fears, their hopes. He felt a pull toward the power, knowing that if he took it, he could control these forces. He could reshape the world above and below, yet the cost was a part of himself he could never reclaim. The figure from the warehouse watched him, silently waiting for his decision. The shadows began to writhe, forming tunnels and doors leading to places he could not comprehend. He realized that the vortex was alive, not just a tool or a trap, but a consciousness testing him, shaping him into something new, or destroying him entirely. He felt his heart race faster than ever as the swirling colors reached a crescendo and the whispers became unbearable. The choice was now unavoidable. The figure extended a hand again, and the vortex pulsed as if it were breathing directly into him, demanding his surrender or his defiance. Ryan took a deep, trembling breath and reached out his fingers, brushing the edge of the swirling chaos. The moment he touched it, the world exploded into blinding light and shadows. He felt himself pulled apart and reconstructed at the same time. His mind flooded with knowledge and fear, visions of the future and the past. Mixed with the present, he saw cities burning, oceans rising, people screaming, machines walking like gods, and at the center of it all he saw himself holding the power of the vortex and realizing that every choice he had made had led to this moment. Then the figure whispered one final time, "The choice is yours now. Claim or release." Ryan could feel every possibility stretching before him, every path branching into infinity. He realized that whatever he chose, nothing would ever be the same. The world above the vortex and himself would be changed forever. He closed his eyes and let his hand move forward, fully embracing the unknown. The vortex shivered, pulsed, and then collapsed inward like a dying star, swallowing him, and the figure vanished, leaving only silence and a faint glow of what could be a new beginning or the shadow of destruction yet to come. Ryan felt himself falling and rising at the same time, every thought and fear and hope burning into him, and he knew that whatever awaited him next, nothing would ever be simple again. Ryan opened his eyes, and the world was silent, yet alive. The vortex had disappeared, but its echoes lingered in the air like a memory. He could not shake the colors and shapes he had seen still burned behind his eyes, and every breath felt heavier, as if the universe itself had marked him. The chamber above the vortex was gone, and he was alone on a surface that seemed to float between reality and something far stranger. The ground beneath him shimmered faintly with traces of the vortex energy, and he realized that nothing would ever be normal again. He tried to move, but his body felt different. Every step he took sent ripples through the air, as if he was disturbing a hidden current of power. The figure from the warehouse was nowhere to be seen, yet he could feel its presence, watching, judging, waiting for the moment he would make the next move. He remembered the choice he had made inside the vortex, the pull of power he had embraced, and the flood of knowledge that had coursed through him, and he knew that the world outside would never be the same, and neither would he. Suddenly the silence was broken by a sound like a million whispers speaking at once. The air vibrated with their voices, telling him things he could barely understand, visions of cities rising from ash, oceans boiling and freezing, and creatures from the deepest corners of time moving through reality like shadows of memory. He felt their presence pressing against his mind and heart, warning him, threatening him, yet enticing him to reach further, to understand everything that was hidden from the world. Above, he wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go, only forward into the unknown. Then the ground shifted and a dark shape emerged from the shimmer. It moved slowly and deliberately, forming into the figure he had seen before, yet this time it was different. The markings on its body glowed with a strange fire, and its eyes burned with all the knowledge of the vortex itself. It spoke directly into his mind, not with words, but with feelings, visions, and thoughts merging into one. Ryan realized that it was no longer just a being. It was the embodiment of the vortex, and it had been waiting for him to claim its power or be consumed by it. Ryan felt his mind twisting under the weight of revelation. He could see his own fears reflected back at him along with desires he had never acknowledged. The figure offered him a choice again, not like before. This was different. This was ultimate surrender or ultimate creation. He could release the power and return to the world above, changed but alive, or take it fully and reshape everything around him, becoming something far beyond human. Yet losing pieces of himself, he understood now that the vortex had never been a trap or a test. It had been a mirror reflecting what he truly wanted and feared at the same time. He stepped closer, the shimmer of the ground bending around his feet, the whispers turning into screams of past souls urging him to act now. He could feel time itself stretching and twisting around him, each heartbeat echoing like a drum of destiny. The figure extended its hand one final time, the vortex energy flowing through it, reaching for him, as if to see whether he had the courage to take it all or the wisdom to let it go. Ryan felt his body trembling and his mind splitting between desire and fear, curiosity and terror. With a deep breath, he stepped forward fully into the figure. The moment his hands touched the glowing energy, he felt himself expand and dissolve at the same time. The universe unfolded inside him, revealing secrets that no human mind was meant to hold. He saw beginnings and endings, the rise and fall of world civilizations that had never existed, and creatures that were never meant to be seen. The power was intoxicating, overwhelming, and terrifying all at once. He realized he could create or destroy with a thought, yet every choice had consequences heavier than any mountain. And then everything stopped. The universe held its breath. The figure vanished, leaving only a faint echo of its presence, and Ryan floated alone, knowing that the world he would return to would be forever changed, And so would he, knowing that the story was not over, that the vortex had not left him, that its whispers would follow him always, and that the ultimate suspense was only beginning as he stepped into the unknown.